In Matthew 15:14, Jesus said that the Pharisees were the blind leading the blind. And we often think, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be misleading people. But maybe we don't think about the idea of being blind and being misled. Is it possible that I have blind spots and I'm being misled? This is an aspect of the next step of our journey of being able to discern correctly, hear God's voice correctly, and make right choices, and know what's right and wrong, and know what's true, and know what God is saying, and those kind of things. This is a part of a video teaching series on discernment. You can see that in the playlist. You can see all the previous videos. So this one, the next step of getting to that place of hearing correctly and discerning correctly, is by understanding the nature of our blindness and our blind spots. So again, just like the Pharisees, if the Pharisees were blind, there were things that they didn't understand correctly, things that they weren't aware of. And the Bible also speaks to a concern of our potential being deceived. You can see that in Galatians 6:7, Ephesians 4:14, in the first chapter of James. We have some statements there that speak to the reality of my potential to be deceived, to believe something that's not true, to think something's good when it's bad, or something's bad when it's good. These are all things that are possible in me. In fact, Jesus in Matthew 6, verse 22 and 23, and speaking of the reality of this light and darkness, the seeing it correctly versus not seeing correctly in darkness, says, the eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, my ability to perceive things correctly, my discernment skills is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, so what I perceive, my discernment skills is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? So if there is a blind spot, if there's something you're not seeing, how much is it that you're not seeing? So there's this concern that there's stuff that I'm not seeing. Then you have 1 Corinthians 13:12, where Paul says that we right now, as we're alive, this won't be alleviated until we go to meet him, whether in our death or in his return. Right now we see through a glass dimly, which means no matter what you do, no matter how strong you get with discernment, you are always looking through a tainted glass. There is always a restriction on your vision. Some of that has to do with our sinfulness that is corrupting this ability to see. But some of it doesn't have to do with that. It has to do with finiteness, our limitation, the amount of things that we don't know and don't understand. In fact, that was what God responded to Job with when Job was having his conversations with his friends about his suffering, and he was working things out, and they were trying to figure things out, and God finally responded to them in Job 38, verses 1 through 7, and says to Job, who is this that darkens counsel? Again, restricts correct discernment by words without knowledge. So there's some information that these guys don't have. Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you make it known to me. So God's saying, you know all this stuff, you know all the answers, well then let me ask you the questions. The implication is they don't know all the answers, they don't have all the information, which is why he goes on this rant, God does, like verse 4, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. And he just goes on this lengthy rant about how limited they are in wisdom and knowledge and understanding. They just don't have all the information. And the less information you have, the less you can understand. So in all our efforts to have good discernment, we have to always have this understanding that we are limited and we have blind spots and we could be missing it. Now, while we will never completely remove that tainted window that we're looking through, we can certainly get better at this discernment and wiser by acknowledging that I don't have all the answers and I don't have all the understanding. I'm certainly likely to be misunderstanding something, and I could be wrong. And being in that position, back to one of our videos, we said humility is a part of this, becoming discerning in a healthy way. This is the framework to be in that results in greater understanding, greater insight, greater knowledge, greater ability to discern things correctly. If I acknowledge, recognize, and admit that there are blind spots I have, and the whole nature of deception and blindness, as far as understanding is concerned, the deception implies that I don't know that I have these blind spots, or at least I don't know what specific blind spots I have. And so I remain humble, and that opens me up to hear what others have to say, to let others speak into my life, to learn more. And as a result, I am less blind because of that. So if you want to be able to discern well, I encourage you, please constantly keep in mind that you have blind spots. If you have any questions about that, or discernment in general, or if you have just any feedback for me, I would greatly appreciate you leaving a comment. I'd love to respond to your questions or hear what you have to say. Also, if you would like to know when more content is available on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. On Facebook, follow the page, and you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Also, if you would help us to get this content out to more people, the more ways you interact with the videos. So if you would like the video and share it and subscribe and comment, do all those things. The more of those things you do, the more readily visible this video becomes to others. And we can help more people learn how to discern what God is truly saying. God bless you, and I hope that you will continue to be able to hear God's voice more clearly.